Since the end of the year is getting closer, I thought it would be fun to make a video where I talk about how to start or restart drawing in 2026. How to find inspiration for the new year, find a new love for art, and start fresh, especially in this era we are currently living in. If you are new to this channel, hello, I'm Halley. I'm an artist focused on character design, and this is my art channel where you can find everything art related. So if you like comfy videos like this one, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. So today, while I work on my drawing, I will talk about my favorite ways to get creative. I will suggest you techniques to try making art again or start making art from zero, and I'll also give you supplies recommendations, so all my favorite things that I use to make both digital and traditional art. But before we start, there is something I want to show you. If you guys watched my last video, you probably remember that I talked about the mug I was designing for my collaboration with Printful. The sample has finally arrived, so it is time to unbox it and see how it turned out. I am actually impressed. The print turned out pretty much identical to the mock-up, and this is so pretty. If you're wondering how I made this, I used Printful, which today is supporting my channel yet again. Printful is a print-on-demand service where you can find hundreds of high-quality, customizable products that you can personalize with your own art. Their catalog is huge. You can find apparel, accessories, home design products, you name it. And bringing your art to life is extremely intuitive and easy with their customization interface, and when you're done designing it, you can save it and then connect Printful to your shop. Create the listing, customize the name and all the details, and you're done. They will take care of everything else, so printing and shipping, so you can only focus on the creative part. This is also very convenient to avoid waste, since the products are printed on demand, so when someone orders something, only then they will print it and ship it to them. I suggest you to order samples for yourself to see how the products turn out and what your customers will receive, just like I did with the tote bag and the mug today. And since I am in the process of designing some fun curated things for my upcoming art shop, in the next video I'll show you the process of designing a gaming mat, which I am very excited for. As always, you'll find the link in the description box below if you want to try it yourself, and thank you so much to Printful for supporting my art and my channel. I had several messages from people telling me they do not feel inspired lately, or that they used to draw but stopped for whatever reason, and they asked me how do I get back to making art. And as I said in many of my videos before, it is kind of tricky because we are all different, but there are a few things that you can do that can reignite that passion again, especially if you make art as a hobby, which in my opinion is something we should all do in life, and the importance of creativity is kind of overlooked, I think. Even if you are the less artistic person ever, there should be some form of art in your life, whether you make it or you consume it, and of course there are many forms of art you can try. There is music, there is of course drawing, there's photography maybe. There are infinite artistic things you can do to keep creativity alive in your life, but of course mine is a drawing channel mainly, so I'm going to talk about drawing today. If you're coming back to art after a long break, one of the best things you can do is trying something you have never tried before, like new art supplies. And as you know, I am mainly a digital artist, but to be fair, there is nothing better than pencils and traditional supplies to get that spark again. And for me, this actually happened, and one of the things that got me out of a terrible art block was watercolors. For you, it can be anything else. It can be alcohol markers maybe, it can be pastels, whatever you want. Maybe there is something that you always wanted to try but never did because you didn't have the time or owned the supply itself. So my main suggestion is, even if you are a digital artist, to go to an art store and get something that really inspires you. Get a new set of colored pencils, a set of gouache colors, and maybe also a new sketchbook. Restarting or beginning your art journey with traditional art is much better for the simple reason that it's something tangible. You touch the supplies, you can bring your sketchbook around with you and maybe go to a nice cafe and draw there. Plus, the trip to the art supply store itself and the fact of being there browsing around is a way of getting inspired again. And this suggestion isn't just for artists who had a break and are trying to restart, it is also for people who want to start drawing today and have never touched a pencil before. I think that having a background of traditional art is best, and then if you want you can move to digital art. At least this is my opinion, because starting digitally right away can be a little bit challenging. I think you need to know how a real physical pencil feels before you can get to an Apple Pencil, for example, and making it behave how you want it to behave and get the result you are imagining in your mind. And that being said, make sure to stick to the end of the video because I will show you my current favorite traditional art supplies. I had a question the other day that was, I want to start drawing but I do not know what to draw, and I completely get that feeling. Do you draw people? Do you draw objects? Do you draw props? Do you draw monsters or aliens? There is honestly so much you can do. One thing that I always found entertaining and funny is to draw your friends, because this gives you an opportunity to show them your work, have a little feedback, maybe have a laugh together if it is your first drawing. Of course, make sure you draw people who are kind and really close to you, and obviously you have a real subject you can recreate. This is why I always say that to learn anatomy, the best thing you can do is using real people's picture as a reference. I also love to draw my favorite things. For example, I used to draw a lot of Pokemon when I was a child, and obviously my favorite characters from anime or TV shows. But another thing that can really ignite your fantasy and your imagination is creating an OC, your own character. Doesn't matter if you do not know how to draw yet, because that artistic expression remains. Your ideas will be on paper anyways, and as the time goes on and as you practice and get better, you can redraw that character over and over again, and you can really see your improvement for that. It's like a time machine, and it doesn't have to be a human character at all. It can be whatever you want. It can be a monster, as I said before, and that's when you can really go wild with your mind, because since it doesn't have to follow any anatomy rules, you can really do whatever you want with it. But what if you are a complete beginner? Starting to draw can be hard because we all have to go through that quote-unquote I don't know what I'm doing phase, which some people cannot bear, and this discourages them from starting altogether. But you need to think of it this way: every artist that you know and love had to go through that phase. Sure, some people can be more visually prone to drawing, some can be less, but the concept remains. Nobody's born with a pencil in their hand, and this is what some people fail to understand about art of any kind. It is the fact that it takes dedication and time, but trust me when I say that it is very rewarding at the end. And even if it ends up being something that you will not pursue forever, it still was a moment of art in your life, which is one of the best things you can do for yourself. For example, as some of you may know, I am also a musician, but I didn't pursue the music career, not only because it is extremely hard to work in music, but also because I started dedicating myself to visual art, so drawing. But that skill remains. I can still play guitar and bass, and whenever my friends, which are also almost all musicians, say let's bring the guitars and let's have a little jam session, I can say of course yes, and it's another form of art in my life. But what if you're not a beginner but you're going through a little moment of art block? Well, one thing you can do is try something new, yes, yet again, but in another way, meaning you can go ahead and follow other artists' tutorials and try their techniques in your art. This not only is very fun, it is also a way to improve your current style. Maybe a different way of sketching, a different brush, or a different rendering method if you're a digital artist, which will make the final outcome of your art look very different, so you can look at it with brand new eyes, and it can be super refreshing. You know, tutorials aren't just for beginners. You need to think of a tutorial as a way to learn something new, especially when it comes to trying ways of making art that you have never tried before. For example, this year I really dived into mixed media. If you follow my channel, you know by now, and it has helped me to see my art in a different way, and I am loving the process much more. Another thing that I am trying for myself, and I suggest you to try, as you've seen from the sponsored portion of the video, is printing your art, not only on paper but actually designing products. This is of course something you can do if you're an experienced artist and you've never done it before, and it can be a fantastic thing to try in 2026. Seeing my art on an object actually made me look at it in a different way, and it made me so excited to create new art pieces because I start imagining my art on the object itself even before I start drawing. You don't have to open a shop, of course. You can print stuff for yourself, maybe gift it to your friends. For example, my boyfriend printed a bunch of of my artworks because he works in a photography studio and I love to see my digital art on paper and maybe hang it on the wall. It's a completely new perspective. Now, as I promised before, I will show you some of my favorite art supplies that you can get to start or restart your art journey and have fun with new tools. These are all very affordable supplies, so don't worry. So my favorite pencils that I've been using since I was a kid are the Staedtler Mars Lumograph. You cannot go wrong with this. I have them in all of their types and these are really fantastic pencils. I also have a few pencils with the eraser on top, like this one. This is a classic, of course, from Staedtler again, and it's very nice if you're on the go. The only other pencils that are a bit more expensive that I own, I will show you just because I love them, are the Caran d'Ache. These are lovely pencils, tiny bit bigger, so the grip is more firm. You don't need them really. Staedtler ones are completely fine, but I really wanted to show you. Then, completely out of curiosity, I got this little school set, which I love, from Giotto. These are for kids, pretty much, but they're still pencils, right? So I just wanted to try them because I really love the idea of a skin tone set. But I don't actually use it to color skin. I use it for sketching because I like to sketch in neutral tones sometimes, and when you scan the pieces to color them digitally, which is something I'm doing a lot lately, it is very nice to have the drawing already in a neutral tone. I don't know if you can get this brand outside of Italy, but it doesn't have to be this one. I'm sure there are lots of brands who make skin tone sets, and if I find some, I will put the link in the description. Then one of my favorite thing ever is this little palette from Winsor & Newton. It has all the colors you need to start with watercolors, and the quality is fantastic. And once you have finished your little pad, you can replace it, and also you can customize the palette with whatever colors you want. For example, in this set, a white was included, which I think it is not necessary at all for watercolors, so I replaced that with a black instead. And it also comes with a little brush. When it comes to brushes, I honestly suggest you to get water tank brushes like these ones. This set again comes with 6 brushes and it's very affordable and they do the job amazingly. They have a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get that, you can really do a lot with this. You just need your little palette, your brush, and a little piece of tissue to wipe it. I really like this watercolor setup because it is also very portable and you don't need to have a separate bottle of water with you because it's already inside the brush. And then for line art, this is no surprise at all, but the Tombow Fudenowski brush marker in the soft point tip is my favorite thing in the world, and I wish I had a stack of this at home. And last but not least is paper. So I got this paper block recently, which is from Canson, and as you can see it says fashion design. Let's ignore that. I prefer smooth paper, and this next to the Rhodia paper is one of the smoothest papers I've ever tried. So if you like smooth paper like me, go get this one. You're gonna love it, and it's also thick enough to handle watercolors, so great. At the end of the day, whatever it is the new thing you will try, what matters the most is that you actually have art in your life. And this video wanted to be more motivational than anything, to encourage people to make art with their hands and to not give up ever. And that's it, friends. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it gave you a little bit of motivation. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and I'll see you all in 2026. Happy New Year. Take care. Bye.